Full 2016 draft recap along with trades, new jerseys, and other announcements on episode 98 of Last Man In podcast.
I would have said just small preview of the draft. Yeah. Are we going through every round?
We're not going through every round.
Well,
just
I don't want to be lying to people.
It's a recap.
I don't want to be
here
till
you say draft recap.
It's a draft recap.
I don't want to be here till the draft next year, so let's not.
It's just we're not going through every pick. We're
Going
scraping over what happened.
We should go over like the first 10 and then call it.
Exactly.
And then skim. Seriously.
Well, no, there's nothing that major.
Well,
really.
even leading into the draft, like once pick 1 and 2, like I was like, oh guys, the top 5 guys are locked in this order. Nothing crazy will happen.
And crazy
then
shit happens.
Something happened.
Which we'll get to. But by full draft recap, I just mean we'll talk about most of the important things. We're not going to talk about the guy that got picked last this year.
No, we have to. You have to cap it
Name
off.
him.
Yeah.
But
name him.
We're not talking about the guy who went picked 13th in the 5th round.
Okay.
Like that guy.
No.
Now we got to talk about him too.
Yes, we do. He was probably drafted by Detroit by all likelihood.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But before we get to that, we've been doing this now for 2 years, guys.
We have. Right here. High five.
Well,
you guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was the worst 10 seconds of audio.
Coordinate that. Oh, you gotta unlock your phone.
Do we say it's episode?
It's 98.
98 coincidentally.
Draft year. This year. So very interesting. Yes, we totally did not plan that.
No, we didn't.
And,
we planned it like 2 years
ago.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
knew.
We knew we'd miss some episodes along the way. Now we're here. So we got to thank you guys, the fans, and Dan's mom for letting us host in her house for more often than not.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and then all the field correspondents.
All the field correspondents.
They've been there
There's
for a
been
while.
several.
The guests, obviously.
All the people that have been there.
How many actual guests have we had?
Oh.
Stefan, Carrie,
Tyler.
Tyler. 4. 4 guests in 2 years.
Yep.
We should probably fix
They're
that.
special.
I'm sure we're missing someone that someone's yelling right now.
Summertime. We'll have some. And don't forget about episode 100.
Friendship Land.
Which we'll get to. So, draft starts. First overall pick, Toronto. And a lot of people thought they were going to screw it up and not pick Auston Matthews. But what did they do? They decided to not show their jersey, their new jersey with their new logo on it until the draft.
And the guy can't even put on a goddamn jersey. It took him 15 seconds
to
put. He was struggling with the right arm. Tough.
He didn't want to put it on. He's like,
so
it's real now.
Damn it.
So at least pick Auston Matthews, and he's the first player to don the new jersey, which was kind of fitting.
Is he their
donning
first?
The new era?
Who was the last number 1 pick?
For them was Wendell Clark.
And then before that, ever?
They've only had one before, I think.
Yeah, I think they've only had Wendell Clark.
Yeah.
Did Wendell Clark ever win a cup?
Yeah, not with...
Buckle up, Austin. Just kidding.
Not with Toronto.
No.
He was eventually traded for Matt Sundin. Wendell Clark.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's okay. Wait, so Sundin wasn't drafted.
And you want to know some? You want to know some?
Quebec 30.
Yeah, Matt Sundin played 4 seasons for Quebec before he went to Toronto. If you have a chance, go look at Wendell Clark when he gets drafted. He has that mustache when he's 18. Like, he just looks like a motherfucker you don't fuck with at 18 years old.
Nowadays, back in the day, those guys, when they got drafted, they were dads already.
Yeah.
Now, these kids, when I look, I'm like, I could at least, I know a life lesson or two more than this kid, for sure.
Actually, a funny story about Wendell Clark. My mom's sister, my aunt, she lives in Toronto. She works for Don Meehan, who's big-time hockey agent, like Steven Stamkos, all these guys.
So basically, Steven's coming to Winnipeg via
Essentially.
us. You're welcome, Winnipeg.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, allegedly, she tried to set my mom up with Wendell Clark.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. So you could have been Dan Clark and Greg. Back in the day, Greg could have been on the Swedish national team. Did you know that?
Really?
As well.
I could have.
I have nothing interesting like that. I have no connections like that whatsoever. I'd still be here.
You don't know. You might.
We're
all related. Somehow.
My dad almost went with Andy Murray to go coach in Sweden, and that was before I was born. So
and you could have been on the Swedish national
team. I would have been the best Swedish hockey player ever.
Nice.
I would have been the only person with my last name to play for Sweden. That didn't have Sun on the end.
He would have been Finnish Flash 2.0.
Well, that's
Swedish Flash.
Oh, Swedish Flash.
I would have been all Swedish, no Finnish.
What do you call the Swedish? It has to be something different.
Sweden.
There we go.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's go to the neighboring Slavic country.
Oh, where
Finland.
My family comes out of.
There you go.
Finland.
Oh.
Wouldn't it be of? Oh, never mind.
I'm going to
trying
Finland.
to ruin it. So.
Where?
Yeah.
Winnipeg.
Where Buster wants to be.
Where Winnipeg had the second pick. We were all excited, and they pick
I was nervous because
there was a lot of reports.
Friggin' Bob.
There was a lot of reports saying Puljujärvi might get drafted. But let's be honest. When PATRIK LAINE was drafted, this is how the Winnipeg Jets fans reacted. And they all stormed the streets.
Yeah.
This is the best.
They got their trigger, man. They did it. And I love it, after every after all the interviews leading into it, Shoveldale's like, oh, there's plenty of available players. Or they're gonna.
They knew going into
it. They did the interview with the guys, the Sportsnet guys, and Shoveldale's like, oh, the moment we got to, we knew we were drafting him. That was done.
When he said that the day before, he's like, we've had it locked in for a long time. I'm like, okay, they're not screwing this one up.
Well, there were reports when they got number 2, or when they got number 2, they asked him if he was disappointed about getting number 1. He's like, well, all we hope is the guy that we want at number 1 is going to be there at number 2. And he's just like, he's projected number 2. There was just that kind of feeling that they were going to draft LAINE regardless if they had 1 or 2. This is the guy they needed.
When you move up from 6 to 2, and there's the potential next Alexander Ovechkin available, you don't pass it up. No matter how much you like the guy that's third.
Here's my question.
You don't pass.
Are Jets fans... Not us Jets fans, but Jets fans that kind of want symmetry. Are they a little upset because of what happened later in the draft? Because who they could have gotten at 6 if they were still at 6?
I think they'd rather have finished Flash.
Well, yes.
2.0
think about it. Which we'll get there. But
then Keith Kachunk's 2.0. So
yeah, fair enough.
I like that.
That's a very funny name. Yeah. So obviously this was something we speculated on this podcast for quite some time. The LAINE would be here now. It's now official. So now they're... I think they need to start going for it now. They have all the pieces. It's just about if they can
win
put them...
maybe win a playoff game.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Maybe.
I have to say maybe because there's still also Chicago.
Yes.
There's still also, everyone else in their division.
I definitely had
Except
an argument.
maybe Minnesota.
Vegas will probably win a playoff game before we do.
We'll get to Minnesota, which is very interesting. But we'll touch on Vegas quickly as well, but not.
Yep.
We won't brush over. We'll brush over it.
Got it. Okay.
But I was having an argument with somebody about the Jets, and he's like, "Well, what do you mean the Jets are they're going to be good? Have they won a playoff game in their franchise? Oh no, Toronto won 3 playoff games. Oh, Philadelphia won 2 playoff games this year. Remember that argument at Smitty's after the hockey game?
Oh yeah, most certainly. Yeah. Well, yeah, but see, okay. There's 2 sides of the coin. Obviously, you could be where where some people stand when you're in an argument like that, where it's like, oh, they've won, but it's they've also had that team established.
Yeah.
And they hadn't had to throw together a team from basically almost nothing in 6 years for the Jets. They're back here now.
Yeah, they've been here 6.
Yeah. The Flyers have been the Flyers since 1967.
Yeah.
So they haven't had to restart. If we go back 6 years, Jets are well ahead of the Flyers in terms of drafting and developing. If we're just going off that, we went back. The only guys that the Flyers have drafted and developed that were on the team this year, off the top of my head, would be Couturier, Giroux, and Gosper.
Yeah.
And then every other player was traded or waiver pickup.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. Yeah. Now you look at I would say most top lines now are drafted top lines. Obviously not for Philadelphia, just Giroux because Voracek wasn't. Well, Simmons was also traded for.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's why I literally can only name 3. I'm sure there's one more in there, but off the top of my head, that's the 3 that I know.
Yeah,
that I've seen get drafted.
So if Cheveldayoff, now that they've got their potential superstar, if he does nothing in free agency, is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, they have enough pieces.
Yep.
Well,
I would like to see. I'd like to see an upgrade on D.
Anybody.
I'd like to see them get somebody on D, but as it stands right now, what they have is they have the potential to be a very dangerous team in Central Division, especially with some teams in some interesting spots. Yeah. But the hardest thing now is he, as tough as it is, he has to nail Mark Scheifele's contract, Jacob Trouba's contract, and Adam Lowry's contract, because in 2.5, 3 years, when Ehlers is up and Connor's up and
you don't want all of these contracts at once.
You don't want to have these huge like $6 million contracts. You don't need 8 $6 million contracts. You need to make sure that you sign them correctly, because if you have a shitty contract that's tough to get rid of, as we've seen in the past with different teams, look at what's happening in Columbus with David Clarkson, and we'll talk about Columbus next. But they're trying to make room so they can sign Seth Jones, but they can't because they have these shitty contracts. Now Toronto signed it, and luckily we're able to get rid of it. But
you know what I thought of just while we're on Jets? I thought of this the other day. So for the expansion draft,
yeah,
they're going to be able to protect 11 players if they go by the 7-3-1.
Yeah, but
or they can do 9 no matter what.
Eight skaters and 1 goalie.
8 skaters, 1 goalie.
And we know the goalie's Hellebuck.
So theoretically, if they have to keep guys that have a no trade, they have to keep Toby and Buff.
Yep.
So in my head, I'm thinking you keep Trouba, you keep Myers.
Yep. And then you go forwards.
You go your 4 best forwards. You go Blake Wheeler, Brian Little, Mark Scheifele, and probably Matthew Perreault, who apparently they're trying to sign to an extension before the season starts. That came out yesterday.
Okay. He has 1 year left, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But those are your
$3 million. Very affordable.
Those are your 4 best players who would not be protected.
Yeah.
So in my mind, Adam Lowry is probably the guy they're going to lose in the expansion draft, unless they go
7 forwards, 3. But for me, and I agree with you 100%, it makes more sense for them to do the 8 skaters
because
versus
they can't
the 7-3-1.
They can't keep their top 3 defensemen if they go 7-3-1 because Toby would have to be included, unfortunately, unless they can get rid of him.
I'm still thinking they'll pull something off next year and trade Enstrom's contract somewhere, or trade Enstrom, but absorb part of his contract. So he's what, 5.75, so you take maybe $3 million back, and then he's a $2.75 million cap hit for whoever wants him. And they're in the position right now where they can do that. They can absorb the cap hit.
Yeah. Or they buy him out.
I don't see them doing that. I'd be very shocked to see them do that. Because he's still a good defenseman.
Absolutely.
A team would be like, oh, you're going to buy him out. I'll go pick him up. And we'll talk about some more buyouts later in the podcast.
One more thing just to throw in, because we were talking about free agency. There was a report that came out today. There's 5 teams that are apparently very interested in Kyle Okposo, and the Winnipeg Jets were among those teams that were interested.
Fuck.
So they might make a move in free agency. It's hard to say.
We'll talk about that on Tuesday when we preview free agency.
But that came out this morning, so I figured I would throw it in there.
Be very, very, very interesting to see. So number 3 pick was belonging to Columbus Blue Jackets. Everyone thought Jarmo Kakalainen, being Finnish, would want to draft the other Finnish player, Jesse Puljujärvi. He did not do that.
Swerve.
He went for the big body man of Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Center wingerman.
Yeah. And I think that's more drafting for position in that scenario. He wanted a centerman. Jesse Puljujärvi was not a center.
But do you do that at that position?
You know what? He's feeling confident that Pierre-Luc Dubois was the better player than Jesse Puljujärvi. And he's got to think that he's going to fit in better than Puljujärvi would.
And you could tie this into Edmonton because they ended up drafting him, but they've proven that drafting the best player available doesn't always work.
Yeah, sometimes you got to draft. And no
matter where you pick.
Pierre-Luc Dubois could end up being like what Leon Draisaitl is, a big body center that you need on a team, especially if you want to be successful. So, he might be the next. What are his comparables?
Pierre-Luc Dubois?
Yeah, Anze Kopitar?
His direct comparable is Jamie Benn.
Jamie Benn? Perfect.
That's not
that's a very good comparison.
That's not bad.
Which brings me just 1 second. We'll talk more, but 2007 draft was when Jamie Benn was drafted. Who would you pick first overall? Patrick Kane or Jamie Benn doing it now?
Patrick Kane.
Okay.
Jinx.
Not even
thinking.
Not even close.
No.
Jamie Benn's arguably one B maybe in the league.
He's he's 1C.
1C.
So he wouldn't make an argument. Eh?
Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
Patrick Kane's the best player in the world right now, in my opinion.
Well, he did win the RS.
But I'm also going off of Patrick Kane. Even without his supporting cast, he's done it every level that he's played at, essentially.
And yeah,
not that Jamie Benn hasn't.
No,
but Jamie Benn. Okay, if you take I don't even say that. No takeaways. I don't like takeaways. Jamie Benn, amazing player. But if you're basically asking me if I'm building a team,
you're taking Patrick Kane.
I'm taking Patrick Kane. Sure, I love the big body bruise guy, but just for like a first overall guy, Patrick Kane every time.
It's just interesting because like Jamie Benn was picked in the 5th round or whatever it was. That you see a guy like that and you think, well, what if he was drafted 2? Or what if he was somewhere shoehorned in there? very interesting for sure. Number 4 pick belonged to the Edmonton Oilers. Lots of talk about this pick potentially being moved. It didn't, because they landed in their lap was a Finnish player called Jesse Puljujärvi, which is another player they needed, to be honest.
Well, he's a right winger.
Yeah.
Their right wingers are Eberle and Yakupov, and those guys are consistently in trade talks. And now their top line, if they don't trade anyone, Taylor Hall, Connor David, Jesse Puljujärvi. Come on, Columbus, you're dropping the ball. What are you doing?
But they have to make a trade. They
have to get a defenseman.
There's got to be. They made this pick.
They could have taken any defenseman that was available. They had the pick of anyone, and they didn't.
I still think
they took.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. I would not be surprised if they make a play for Kevin Shattenkirk, because David Backes might not be re-signing in St. Louis. They might be losing a forward in him. So very interesting that Kevin Shattenkirk, there's a lot of talk about he won't be able to sign there. Edmonton could be a fit for him.
What, you don't think Connor Bleakley could just straight up replace David Backes? How dare you?
I don't think so.
How dare you? They took him in the 3rd round.
There was something,
yes, I saw that.
There was something out there yesterday that allegedly the Oilers had offered Nugent Hopkins for Shattenkirk, but the Blues said, we want Eberle or Hall. They didn't want to do it.
But maybe now they do.
There's also been rumors of Nugent Hopkins and Matt Dumba.
That's an interesting one, of course. They need to get better at defense. Yeah. It's that simple. But we'll talk about it all summer long about how they need to do something and probably won't do it, or they'll
week after week. Here, let's get a mini preview. Here, episode 104. Well, Edmonton still hasn't done anything great. What are your thoughts?
Well, they've overpaid their defensemen, like Andrei Sekera and Nikita Nikitin, and they haven't done anything.
And they got Benoit Pouliot.
Yeah.
Dan, what are your thoughts on the Oilers?
I'm just going to shake my head.
Yep. And back to episode 98. Here we go. Preview, because that's what's happening.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Or
I want them to prove us wrong.
Yes.
I'm going to run something by you, though.
Go.
Puljujärvi. From henceforth, whenever he scores, it will be referred to as the pool party.
Pool party.
Cool. I was at a pool party while watching
Everyone
the draft.
should throw floaties on the ice when he scores.
That'd be cool.
Yeah! Pool party.
Yeah.
So
but Edmonton's the land of no fun.
Then. His nickname's Noodles.
Noodles.
Boom.
Pool
Done.
Noodles.
Yeah,
yep.
Pool Noodles. There you go. All right. Well, Noodles is it is written in stone.
And number 5 pick went to the Vancouver Canucks. The most excitement in Canada for...
I wanted them so bad to just be like, all right, we made a trade. We traded this 5th pick, our next 5 first-round picks for this real guy, Zach Dalpe. He's a real up-and-comer. No offense, Zach Dalpe.
So we traded our first-round pick, along with next year's first-round pick, to get Ryan Kessler back with Kevin Bieksa. We got those 2 players back. We feel that we're really going the way of winning the Cup
And we
this year.
also got access to Corey Perry's Snapchat once a week for an hour. We're very excited about the acquisition.
You know what's messed up?
What's that?
Ryan Kessler got 2 Hart Trophy votes.
2?
2.
Hart Trophy.
Hart Trophy votes.
Really?
Wow.
They released the top 20. He got 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did Blake Wheeler get any?
No.
Interesting.
Why would... Well, you know what? Hey, if Kessler got 2, right?
Why wouldn't Blake Wheeler get
I shouldn't react like that.
Sorry. James Reimer. Did James Reimer get any?
He plays for Winnipeg.
Did James Reimer get any?
No.
What's another... Are there any other oddball Hart... We'll talk about it on Tuesday.
Yes.
You got to fill this draft.
So...
Pick 5.
Canucks didn't do anything crazy. They just picked Oliu Levy, who's 2 years away from being another 2 years away. He's good. He's going to be a good defenseman. It's just going to take him a while to develop into that number 1, number 2 spot. There is defensemen that can slot in right away in your top 4 and your bottom 4 on your defensive core. He's not somebody that you can slot in. It's like Josh Morrissey. I feel that Josh Morrissey still needs time to be to that top level defenseman that they can be. So sometimes you've got to make this pick to pick a guy that's going to be ready in 3-4 years.
Who is that defenseman right now where he was in the AHL or developing for a few years and only now is he coming around? Like the older guy. I'm just trying to think. I'm not quizzing. I'm asking.
For who?
You're asking for just anybody
anyone.
in general.
I'm just trying to think.
Brendan Kitchen, maybe?
Carl Alsner was a guy that was in the AHL for a while.
Okay,
and then came up and
really... that'd be awesome if Morrissey even came close to Carl Alsner.
Yeah,
sweet.
That's one.
I would say pretty much anybody that played for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
True.
So, they... The shocking thing is they didn't want to get a guy to replace Jared McCann.
Can I just do breaking news real quick? It's regarding your favorite team.
Okay.
Legit your favorite team.
Yeah.
Okay. So Scott Harrington got traded to Columbus for who?
Seth Jones?
Oh my! Get the hell out of here!
I don't know.
What?
Kirby Reichel. Come on, guys, be excited!
No, I wouldn't be like insanely excited.
Breaking news. Oh, you should be
Reichel.
excited. I like Kirby Reichel. Why? Great name.
Great name.
Good
When
name.
your first name is Kirby,
he can eat people and
Yeah.
then absorb their powers.
exactly.
Kirby Reichel. All right. So,
no-
number
Well, no,
s-
I'm just shocked that they don't try to replace Jared McCann somehow because they just got Eric Goodbranson. They're not trying to replace.
And you're at 5. There's still quite a few forwards available.
One of those forwards who dropped to Calgary, Matthew Tkachuk, and let me tell you, Brian Burke, very happy about this. I'm imagining. Why wouldn't he be?
No, I mean...
American GM gets to draft an American-born player, and he was projected to go 4th, and he dropped to 6th. He dropped in your lap. The guy who pretty much won he won London the Memorial Cup.
Literally with his goal, yeah.
Yeah. Won in overtime. Matthew Tkachuk. Very... fucking Calgary.
Why?
Like, Sean Manahan, Johnny Gaudreau, fucking...
They get the gems.
they get so many good players.
They draft?
They're gonna be good. And like looking at their D-core, they actually have quite a few defensemen too.
Well, and
Calgary's actually
I was
good.
just going to say, hold on, wait for it. I was just going to say, but they still need a goalie.
But they don't.
What?
They signed James Reimer. I'm joking. They got Brian Elliott from the Blues yesterday.
Yeah. Do you not know about that?
No, I do.
Oh, okay. I thought I was
gonna
like,
say that.
are you
Yeah.
trying to swerve me, guys?
No.
Like, what?
Brian Elliott.
That's
is
still
now-
a goalie.
He wasn't.
Here's my thing.
It's not a Pavlik.
He wasn't the best goalie they could have gotten, but he was the cheapest. They
Well-
gave a second-round pick for him.
Here's the thing. My view on Brian Elliott is this. He's not a bad goalie, but you're running in the same issue that you had with Jonas Hiller. He might be good for you, but he might not be. He was great for his last team, but he might not be great for you.
And he's also not a guy you can depend on for a long term, because he's also in his 30s.
And he also does normally he gets injured once a year.
And wasn't it at the draft that Calgary made a trade to like have talking rights to Ben Bishop for like a certain amount of hours?
And they just couldn't.
How did that work?
So what happens is
They
if
just
you're
got
trying
permission from Tampa to speak with him.
to speak with him about a contract.
About a contract extension, because allegedly he said, if I get traded to Calgary, I want a contract extension right away. 7 years, $7 million a year.
It would only go if they signed the deal. That pick would go.
So what it essentially is, at least I think it is we're going to complete this trade only if the terms of the trade are met. So it's like, okay, and I talked about it a couple podcasts ago with the whole Bufflin getting dealt, or with Vlad getting signed thing. If Vlad had been signed, Bufflin was getting traded. So it's like, okay, this is the terms of the trade. If Ben Bishop signs with us, then the trade is completed. Like that's just one of the terms for the trade to be completed. So they have the terms of the trade done. It's just he needs to be able to sign that extension.
Oh, otherwise it's okay. Hey, you talked, but nothing happened.
It's like
fine.
The other trade for a goalie that happened this week when Toronto got Frederik Andersen. I'm pretty sure that a part of that trade was he has to sign with us, which they did, and we'll talk about after we're done recapping the first little bit here. The other trade that also happened, well, there are two. Andrew Shaw was dealt from Chicago to Montreal, and then Montreal traded.
What was that trade?
Who?
Do you want to
2 second-round
They
picks.
got 2 second-round picks.
2 second-round picks from Chicago, or went to Chicago from Montreal. Then Montreal got 2 second-round picks from Washington, and they traded away
Lars
Eller. Interesting for me. Got
Well,
some
did
depth
you
center.
see that?
Interesting that Washington would take on his salary, because
Yeah.
he makes some pretty petty.
Well, now he can't even wear 81, guys. There's
Who's
already
81?
Dimitri
Orlov? No, he's 9.
That's a lie.
There was no 81 on that
I'm
team.
drunk, guys. You're
Nate
right.
Schmidt is 88. He's probably the closest one.
Who?
Yes. Yeah, no, drop the
Exactly.
ball. Dropping the ball.
98 episodes, and we still don't know how to do this right.
Did you see, or did you hear that they were talking about what Andrew Shaw wants on his new contract?
Oh, ridiculous.
4.5, 5 years.
Yeah.
Andrew Shaw, the top end I would give him is 4, and that's like, if I'm getting you 4, you're getting 3 years.
I still think he's a player that benefited from playing with good players.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think he's on his
Well,
own.
he's the new who? Who's your favorite player that is now a Carolina Hurricane?
Jordan Staal.
No. Come on, the big guy. You're like, I had one good playoffs.
Who?
The
Bickle.
Bickle.
That was a terrible trade.
No, that's
contract.
They're trying
Terrible.
to avoid those now.
Yeah, that was terrible.
No, all I was going to say was Andrew Shaw is maybe worth $4 million for 4 years. If Andrew Ladd can be a captain of a team for $4 million a season, Andrew Shaw shouldn't even be able to shine his shoes.
I've heard some pretty ridiculous.
But this is the time of the season where everything for the next week, like it's going to be like, oh, insane. Did you hear this? Blank this. Mute the word kicking tires on Twitter. Oh, you're going to get rid of a lot. They're kicking tires. There's what they are.
There's some reported what players are asking for, and I'm looking at it, I'm going.
Dan, by the way, I think we have Dan's literally his new favorite line in hockey.
What?
Andrew Shaw, Brendan Gallagher, David Desharnais. That's your new favorite.
I don't hate Desharnais. The other two.
That's what I'm talking about. 2 out of the 3 is a tough.
You know what's nice though?
What's that?
They're small enough that Bufflin can probably choke slam both of them at the same time.
Choke slam, and then David Desharnais, he can lock him up for the pedigree.
Yeah.
And then choke slam him, pedigree. Boom.
So with the 7th pick, Arizona picked Clayton Keller.
If you're unaware of who Clayton Keller is, he broke Patrick Kane's USHL, or not USHL, under 18 points record. Wow. This kid had I think in 6 or I don't know how many games he had. He had, I want to say around 100 some odd points in 40 games or something.
That's crazy.
Don't quote me on that. I'm probably way off. He had a lot of points. He can score.
Then Buffalo's got Alex Nylander, brother to William Nylander, who's playing for Toronto.
Great storyline now. Yep. Brothers fighting each other, friends fighting each other. Eichel, Nylander, Austin, and William.
Oh, that's a really good.
That's what I thought of right when they drafted him. Great storylines for the next couple of years.
And the fans in Buffalo and the fans in Toronto do not like each other.
No
better.
No, could be.
Playoffs.
Could be good eventually.
Playoff series in 5 years. Sign me up. I'd watch it.
I don't think so. They have Evander Kane on their team, and he does not go to playoffs.
For now.
Well,
he's not going to be there much longer.
We'll talk about that in a future episode.
Eventually, one day, potentially.
Yeah, future episode. Then number 9, Montreal bolsters their blue line for eventually trading PK Subban, and they picked Mikhail Sergachev.
You bastard! You took my line. I was going to be like, hot take. He's replacing Subban.
And Sergachev's a strong defenseman. Not sure if that's the guy to replace Subban, though. Although Bergevin has pretty much said that those are not true. They're not looking to trade Subban.
Oh, yeah? Is that why all the insiders are like, guys, I'm hearing this today?
Yeah.
And Bergevin's like, no, je ne comment que I went Spanish on that one.
Yeah. I don't speak English. What?
No queso.
No.
Yeah.
No queso.
You went Spanish again.
No. Mr. Subban, no here.
No, what is that?
That's my best.
That's his every thing put together. No here.
No here.
He's a mob boss who's sick.
Then Colorado gets Tyson Jost.
Yost.
At number 10. Jost.
Okay.
Well, if it's Yost, then why is it a J and no Y?
Great point. This is Canada.
Or is it a soft J? And we pronounce it Yost. Just like it's yogging.
It is a soft J.
I know. I'm making a joke from Anchorman.
I was with a Colorado fan when they made this draft. Why do they need forwards when there are defensemen on the board? Namely one who we'll get to slipped quite a bit because of allegedly a one game. That
Jake
one
Bean?
that no. Jacob Chychrun.
Oh, Chychrun, yeah.
I thought, you and I talked earlier that day, or
if Chychrun's available at 10, you take Chychrun at 10.
Yeah, and they were saying, they didn't obviously, and many others didn't either, because we'll find out where he went. And Chychrun, they said he had a really bad prospects game, and I was like, oh, he had a bad prospects game. Probably because they fly you in a day before that morning. You meet the team, you stay overnight, you play a game, and then you go home.
Yeah.
And you're an 17 or 18-year-old kid. Yeah, of course, and he's coming from, say hypothetically he's coming from Toronto, because the game was played in Vancouver. That's a long flight to deal with to begin with.
Mm-hmm. So, some more notables. Ottawa got Logan Brown.
They made that trade, right?
New Jersey drafted a 35-year-old. Carolina got
What?
Jake Bean. Ooh. It was a joke, because New Jersey's old.
Oh, you're asking.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there was a trade. The Sens traded. That was a
trade.
trade.
Sens and New Jersey swap picks. So, Sens got Logan Brown, and New Jersey got Michael McLeod.
And then there was something else in there. But either way, when that trade happened, everyone's like, there's a trade to announce. And they're like, New Jersey. And I sat back. I'm like, nothing fun. Nothing fun, guys. Here we go. Nothing fun.
Hey, the Corey Schneider trade was fun.
Yeah, that's true.
That's okay, fine. The one fun trade in their entire franchise.
It was fun for everyone except people in Winnipeg. And they're like, why couldn't we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Bean, defenseman, going to Carolina. So now Carolina has Ryan Murphy and Jake Bean as their
I was talking about this.
Do beans grow well in Carolina?
I wanted Jake Bean so bad to not get drafted by Carolina because then Bean would be going to Beantown in Boston.
Wow. But Boston decided to draft Charles
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
A kid who tweeted, "I hate the Bruins so much."
Is now a Bruin.
In 2013. Let's give backstory. The kid was 13.
They signed him just for that reason.
The kid was 13.
How could he be 13 if he got drafted in...
He was 13 in 2013.
Fine, he was how old? Do the math.
Probably like
2013.
15, 16.
Probably 15 or 16?
14, wouldn't he be?
No.
He has to be 18 to get drafted.
He was
3 years. 2013.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
15 years
It's
old.
2016, not 2019.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, but either way, quick lesson, kids. If there's any kids, I don't think you should be listening to this.
Cam doesn't know math.
I don't either. They'll find anything. I'm never allowed to work for pretty much like the only team I could work for in the NHL is the Flyers, and they'll probably still be able to find something.
Maybe Toronto for me.
Be careful, children.
Lukunin, Minnesota, Arizona then got Jacob Chychrun to help Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
But how did that happen? How did they get that trade?
Because they decided to absorb Pavel Datsyuk's contract.
Man,
you guys, I told you! No! I loved him too much. I loved Stamkos too much, and now he's going to the worst place he can go. He's going to Detroit. This is the...
Did you hear
hey, friend.
Did you hear what Holland said?
What did Holland say?
He's like, okay. Yeah, we traded this so we could go out in the free agent market and help our center position out because we lost Datsyuk. We need another number one center.
Because he can't legally say Steven Stamkos without getting fined.
Yeah. So he can start talking to Steven Stamkos now. And he's like, okay, we know Detroit's not like the best city, but like we have the Tigers, we have the Lions, who suck. But you can be part of history and play in the Little Caesars Arena.
You can toss pizzas all you want.
You know what?
And make $10 million a season.
If they get him,
they'll be a lot better.
They ain't missing the playoffs anytime soon. Let me tell you that.
That's for sure.
Guys, I loved him too much. I blame myself for this.
Guys, Datsuk's going to do great in Arizona.
He's going to do all the things.
He's going to tear it up. He's going to tear
Oh,
it
yeah,
up.
for sure, because he officially announced his retirement.
Don't they also have Pronger's contract?
They have Mark Savard, too, don't they?
Oh, my
God.
No, dude.
Dreamline.
No, Arizona, seriously, John Chayka has so many bro you owe me cards.
Oh, my God.
He has, like, 3 huge ones. Flyers owe him a biggie for taking Prongers last year. And then now he's got one on the Savard Bruins. With the Bruins and the Wings. Oh yeah, when there's a trade coming around and he needs some help from some friends,
so Arizona,
he's either calling Hextall. Oh, he's got some pull. He's either gonna call
as a 26-year-old. He's been able to leverage teams.
Yeah,
as a 26-year-old.
I lied. Savard got traded to the Devils. Not Savard.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, that's even better because Don Sweeney's the weaker of the 3. So we'll call Hextall, and if Hextall's like, you know what? I don't know. I can't really help you out, but I'll see what I can do. Oh, that's fine. I'll go to the mecha god that is Kenny Holland. Woo! John Chayka, 26 years old.
So Arizona is literally where contracts go to die.
No,
they're so far away from the cap floor. They have no one signed.
The greatest.
They just need to absorb them.
Arizona. The wingman. That's their name. The wingman.
I was curious to see if the Jets would maybe dabble with the contract just because they are below the cap floor, but they do have some big restricted
fish to
free
catch
agents
like Steven Stamkos.
Well, but they have some RFAs of their own they need to sign. So,
so essentially, it was Jacob Chychrun for Datsuk's contract. So
and Joe
Detroit
Vitale
actually lucked out. Yeah. Detroit gave up. They got rid of $7.5 million, and they gave up their first-round pick, and they got a first-round pick, a forward that can play, and a second-round pick. So they actually got a better deal.
What were those guys?
They got Arizona's second first-round pick.
No, they...
Didn't Detroit draft? Yeah, Detroit got the 20th overall.
20th overall. They got Joe Vitale, who can play, and they got Arizona's second-round pick.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
So they actually won the trade.
Well, let's keep on trucking.
Yeah.
And then another trade happened where Winnipeg decided to trade with the old Philadelphia Flyers. Mm-hmm. And gave up their second rounder along with the first.
Wait, you skipped over. How dare you skip over Dante Fabro? His favorite defenseman growing up was Shea Weber. Okay,
and he gets to play with him.
Yeah, you ever hear about Dante Fabro before like a month ago?
No,
me neither. Let's go.
I haven't heard him before. 10 years
I'm going to be scared of him in a couple years.
Drafted 6'7" defenseman Logan Stanley, who is projected by Craig Button. That's his name. Yes,
Buttons.
To be drafted 30th, and they drafted him at 18. So not a huge off the board, but very interesting. They needed a defenseman, and they went out and got him. I'm sure that they would have, if Chychrun wasn't, I think they would have tried to get Chychrun. If they would have tried to get Nashville's pick for Chychrun.
Well, there was an interview with Chayka, just saying, like, they wanted Chychrun.
Yeah.
And then they were like, when he started slipping, he's like, I called every team. Every team.
Who's this?
John Chayka, like the GM of Arizona.
Yeah.
He said, once Chychrun, once it hits, like, the 8th pick, he said, and Chychrun still wasn't gone, he said, I called every team. And, like... And they were saying, like, oh, do you think because you're the young guy, you're the new kid, they're going to try and, like, swoon you or whatever? And he's like, well, I made a few jokes with a couple guys. But then I called Detroit, and they said no off the hop. And then he's like, all right. And then he said, you know what? I made a decision that needed to be made. I consulted my team, called Detroit and said, hey, we hear that you have a contract that you want to get rid of. And then he said, and then they had their attention, and they did it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's...
Leveraging Ken Holland, the great.
Oh, we totally skipped over this. Did you guys see what happened to Tampa Bay?
No.
Tampa Bay, they had their draft meeting, and they had their official sheet with like what potential moves, like trades up, trades down, potential free agent moves. They left the whole booklet somewhere, and some kid found it and tweeted pictures of it.
What did it say?
No, all of their draft moves that they wanted to do.
Oh.
And so
I thought you said free agent
This
stuff.
kid didn't tweet it at like directly out from his tweets. He DM'd the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's like, hey, I have this. Do you guys want it back? Like, I kind of have something.
They must have paid a lot of money for that.
I was just real quick, what would you ask for? Like, what would be your, like, I mean, I can tweet out every one of these pictures, and, like, you guys are done.
What would I
like,
ask
it's
for?
over. Yeah. This is what I asked for because I'm cheap.
A hug from Steve Yzerman.
Whatever Steven Stamkos gets paid on his new contract, I want 10%.
Okay, that's insane.
That's insane.
I don't care.
Okay.
That's like $1 million.
I have the most powerful document in the world for the time.
I would say
for the next day and a half.
$5,000 and or season tickets for Lightning games, and you fly me out on the
Okay, wow.
plane.
Nobody,
this is what I would
nobody
ask for.
wants to go to that many Lightning games. Let's get real.
I want a hug from Steve Yzerman. There you go.
Okay,
That's
I
what
want a
want.
hug from Steve Yzerman. I'd ask for probably just a jersey, and then I would ask for a stick, just because I'm cheap. But that's it. All right, continuing in the draft. Now just name some noties, some notables.
Yeah, so giant man Logan Stanley.
So the Jets are going for the biggest decor in the world, right?
Yeah, essentially.
I think so.
The Jets got him. Carolina drafted Julien Gauthier. At one point, this guy was inside the top 10. He slipped to 21. Philadelphia, with their 22nd pick, took German Rubtsov.
Rubtsov? It's okay. I trust the process. You know who also went 22nd a decade ago?
Claude Giroux.
Ginger Jesus. And now we have German Jesus.
Lightning picked Brett Howden at 27th.
Good old Winnipeg.
Yep.
Oh,
that's why I
great
want to
name.
mention him.
Great name. I went at number 26. Tage Thompson.
Tage Thompson.
To who?
The Blues.
One notable, not in the first round, was Alex DeBrincat. He actually slid all the way to pick number... Oh, I have him here. I saw him. Damn it. Oh, there he is. 39th overall to the Chicago Blackhawks, Alexander DeBrincat. And for those who don't know who Alexander DeBrincat is, he's the guy that got kicked out of the USA-Canada World Junior game this year. For...
Cross-checking?
Spearing, I think? It was
a
a
spear, right.
It was a spear. Toronto with their 31st overall pick, so first pick of the second round, pick Yegor Korshkov. Yep, that's my Korshkov.
You know how you know that we're like overkilling the draft? You can't even pronounce the guy's name.
Exactly.
No, that's why we had to. Dan and I had to jump in when he said full draft. It's a real recap. Just name the guys the Jets draft, and then we'll go through. Oh, I just want to say. People, they were really high on the legacy drafts, which is like obviously sons or relations. 12 legacy drafts this year, like 12 either sons or nephews, not nieces, I guess, but nephews drafted or grandsons, where someone in their lineage played in the NHL. That's huge.
Winnipeg did not have a second round pick, so with their third round pick that they actually got from the Philadelphia trade, they got Luke Green.
Where does he play from?
I don't know.
It doesn't say?
No.
I'll pull it up.
I'm on the NHL app. I took screenshots of NHL. Then with their 97th overall pick, Jacob Cederholm. And that was their last pick of that round. Fifth round, they picked Jordan Stallard.
Out of Calgary, WHL.
Yep. Then picked Mikael Burden.
Wait, are you saying the positions of these players?
Nope, just what they are. Who they are.
Most of them are defensemen.
Most of them are defensemen.
You guys, I don't want to...
And don't have a 7th round pick. That was who they drafted. Yep.
I just want to say the 6th round pick, Mikhail Burden, that goalie. People were saying
goalie.
You're saying his compare. Well, you can never be too you can't be stock
exactly.
shy, right?
Yep.
They said not his direct comparable, but one of his inspirations and who he pulls inspiration from is Dominic Hasek.
Oh, that's okay with that.
It's not a bad goalie.
Nope.
Obviously.
And there are good goalies that got drafted late in drafts. Jonathan Quick. I think Ben Bishop was late too. Very interesting for sure. Moving on, though, from the draft.
Hold on. Hey, whoa. We made a promise to our people that we would say who the fifth round, 13th pick was, and that belongs to Jeremy Helvig, a goalie from Kingston, Ontario, going to the Carolina Hurricanes.
And the last pick in the draft.
Last pick, hold on.
Was by.
Wait, stop. What country is he from? Dan, you go first. Greg, you can't guess. You already saw.
No, I actually can't see what country
he's
from.
I haven't seen either. I can tell you what country he's from after.
Sweden.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm going to say.
You see the name.
I see his name.
Looking at it.
I
You're
don't
cheating!
know. I can.
Banned! I'm taking America.
I was going to take Germany.
Oh, damn it.
Where's he from?
His name's Philip Houch.
Czech Republic.
He's a left-wing Czech Republic.
Last pick was by the Blues, 211th overall. Which really makes no sense. They have an extra pick in the second round.
Philip Helt. All right.
Yep.
I like it. Remember that name.
Let's follow his career.
We should.
We should totally.
Help report.
Helt.
We need a
Helt.
Helt
report.
Help and Helt. There you go.
Help and Helt.
I'll write it down.
Yep,
Once a week now, we're actually doing it.
No.
Does he have a Twitter?
We could try.
Yeah.
We could look for sure.
Now that's my job.
Yep, clearly, because we now we should get him a fan of the podcast and then just follow his career. Yep. Give weekly check-ins to see how he's doing.
Superstar.
Some tweets.
Future superstar for sure.
He'll kill the Jets in a game one day.
Now, just to move on, some trades that happened kind of between last podcast and today, and before the draft. Frederik Andersen going to the Toronto Maple Leafs for 2 second-round picks? Second-round pick and the 30th overall from this year. So, Toronto got their goalie. They're probably going to try to move Jonathan Bernier. I wouldn't be surprised. And signed him for $5 million a year for 5 years. So,
what are your thoughts? You're the resident Leaf fan here.
I'm happy with the deal.
Says the guy wearing the Maple Leafs t-shirt.
I was thinking.
It's true. I'm wearing my Kessel player t-shirt.
Just saying.
I was thinking the whole that they needed to go and get a goalie anyways. I would love for them to re-sign Reimer. Their win percentage with him was just super high, and I don't know why they deviated from that. But what I really like about Frederik Andersen is he's played in the playoffs, he's been on winning teams, and he's got a good attitude from what I can tell. And he didn't have to get coached under Randy Carlyle. So unfortunately, John Gibson's forever Tainted now. Mm-hmm. So he gets coached under Randy Carlyle.
Yep.
Are you saying Carlisle's like a goalie killer?
No, I just think he's a bad coach.
I think Greg thinks he's like a person killer.
Did you see how mean he was to Nazem Kadri during 24/7? And him and his stupid toaster?
I was just going to say, our toaster's not working. It's too broke. It broke.
Fucking douchebag.
I don't know if he laughs like that.
There's some hatred there.
Okay, what other trades happened?
I'm just going to go through my phone.
Keith
Yandel. Well, yeah, to Florida. Because Florida's like, hey, so you know, we lost one of our big defensemen, Brian Campbell, who had a monstrous contract. So instead of having him, let's go and get another defenseman who's old and give him all the money.
Hey, he's like half Brian Campbell's age. And he's probably twice as good. So.
Did we mention...
He's only like 28 years old. Keith Yandel?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like he's...
No,
I thought he was like 32.
No, he's not that old.
But they just got rid of Campbell's contract. I don't really understand.
Hey, if you're top
But they did
two
lose Goodbranson.
If you're top two
lost Kulikov.
Yeah.
If your top two are Yandel and Ekblad, that ain't bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yandel and Ekblad.
That ain't bad.
A lot better than Jovanovski and Brian Campbell.
Or Bomeister and Jovanovski.
Really, in hindsight, they got rid of Kulikov and Goodbranson and were able to get Yandel. Not a terrible move.
Not bad.
I think it's going to benefit the team overall. Then Goligoski signed for a lot of money in Arizona. They need guys on their defensive core. Now with Chychrun, they have...
He got $5.5 million
a year. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Goligoski?
Yeah, 5.
But Arizona, like even John Chayka said, hey, we acquired our guy, we wanted him. They have money to spend.
They have all the money.
Jason Demers for Dallas, he's asking for $5.5 million a year.
He's not worth $5.5.
And you wonder why Jacob Trouba wants $7 million.
I know.
This is why.
It's ridiculous.
I just want to note, the Buffalo Sabres acquired the rights to speak to Jimmy Vesey.
Yes.
Do you think they're going to sign him, or do you think he's going to Boston as promised?
Or Toronto.
But they have to get his rights to do that. Do they not?
No, they just got his rights to talk to him before
Until
he becomes
July
a free agent.
1.
He still he said he's going to the market, but he said Buffalo.
Aren't you guys excited for July 1 signing season?
Love it.
Yep.
Signing season.
Well, what?
What?
That's what Sportsnet, because they don't have the rights to free agent frenzy, their tag is signing season. Another reason, Sportsnet.
Hey,
reason.
They did something good though.
What'd they do?
They pushed out Strombo and brought McLean back as the host.
NBC let Bob McKenzie broadcast the draft last night for them. So
shut the hell up.
Yeah.
How come that wasn't on my TV?
Because we get the shit.
No, I have
they're
the
on
sports
NBC.
channel.
They're NBCSN.
Yes.
Piss.
Yeah.
Why didn't I have that on?
We get you can't you don't have it. It's
I
not
have
available in Canada.
NBCSN.
How?
I have the Sportsnet. I have all the sports. That's what my TV is. I watch all the Flyers games.
If you have Cody, then you have everything.
Hey, we don't support Cody. That's illegal, right, Dan?
Completely illegal. Do not use it.
There
it's
you
terrible.
go.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Ever do it.
It's not a real thing.
Hey, people that own Cody, we are looking for a sponsor. Doing this for 2 years with no money.
Shut up one time.
One time.
No money. All just our friendship and love.
And as you guys can probably tell, we don't have Slurpees. Why don't we have Slurpees? Well, the 7-Eleven we always go to got ran into by a fucking truck.
But you know how that
I'm not even joking.
No.
It was a thing.
Yeah, but you know how that happened, though. Real sad how it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Not
wasn't a
something
drunk
to joke
guy or anything
No.
like that. A gentleman was had a seizure while he was driving.
Yeah.
That's
Drove
not.
right
And
into
it's
it.
a scary
Was
thing.
anyone hurt while it happened?
I don't think so.
No. Luckily,
Just
no.
a lot of candy was destroyed.
Okay,
He
I'm
demolished.
trying not to make it funny.
No.
Drove right through, just straight at the candy aisle.
Here's the thing. Is we can make it somewhat funny, but we have to understand that, yes, it sucks that he had a seizure. Probably won't be allowed to drive ever again.
No,
probably
not, yeah.
The store is destroyed.
Yeah.
But he ran into a 7-Eleven and destroyed the candy aisle.
Yeah.
Do you know how many kids in that area he upset? All the kids.
It's barely, you're like on the edge of that area and you're upset. So
Yeah.
I live very close to that area. Very close.
And guys,
you're
we'll
upset.
never know what the mystery Slurpee is now.
It was watermelon.
Oh.
Let's
I never
cut the
did
crap.
it.
We all knew it was
I
watermelon.
never tried it.
Why is every mystery flavor always watermelon? It was the same with Airheads.
Because they tried peach and people are like, is that? I don't know what that is. What is that? Is that banana chunks? What, like peach has a mystery flavor. Sorry, there was this one time when I was younger. There was like a mystery Kool-Aid where it was blue. You know where it was like blue, but the actual flavor is different.
Yeah.
I don't even like the color blue, and I'm not fond on peach, the flavor for juice. And it was blue, and it tasted like peach. It pissed me off forever. This was when I was like 8, and I still don't do this.
Goodness.
Any more notables that we want to talk about?
Well, we'll preview Free Agent Frenzy.
There was a trade
We can talk about.
like 10 minutes ago.
Kirby
What?
Reichel.
Nick Holden went to the Rangers for a 4th-round pick next year.
Dan, don't bring out weekend
Nick
shit
Holden
over here.
was
That's not a Kirby
Colorado
Reichel level
Avalanche.
trade.
Yeah, we only deal with Kirby Reichel level trades for Scott Harrington. By the way, now the Phil Kessel trade has turned into Frederik Andersen, Kirby Reichel, and Kasperi Kapanen.
Not bad.
So far, so good.
Wait, who did? Oh, yeah. Wow. Hey.
Not bad.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you,
I
Phil.
think it worked out for both of
Yeah,
us.
it did work out for both parties. Phil got a cup, and people love him. Everyone loves him again. It's great.
Yeah.
And Toronto's full-on rebuilding.
On the up and up.
On the up and yeah.
On the up and
Does
up.
that mean that they're going to fast track a rebuild now? They've got their number one center forever. Their 3 centers are actually pretty deep now with Kadri, Bozak, and Matthews. They've got Nylander. They've got Connor Brown. They are poised to maybe make the playoffs next year now.
Remember how excited everyone was about the Jets with all their youth?
Yeah.
Look how that turned out. I'm not saying...
Oh, no, I agree
Don't
with you.
get your hopes
There
up
is
too
growing
quick.
pains. There are
Too
growing
quick.
pains.
Too quick.
But I think Frederik Andersen's a better goaltender than Andre Pavlik in the long term.
Yeah.
Speaking of goalies for Winnipeg Jets, Michael Hutchinson signed a 2-year, $1.1 million deal, and that's because they can expose him in the draft. Expansion draft, because it's official. Las Vegas is now going to be the 31st team in the NHL.
Well, and Pavlik's also off the books after this year, so...
There's that as well. But it's... So the way it works, player exposure requirements. One defenseman who is A, under contract in 2017-18 played in 40 or more NHL games the prior season, or played in 70 or more NHL games in the last 2 seasons.
They have to leave one open?
They have to leave one of those guys open. So, Paul Postma, you can leave open.
Yeah.
But let's say Paul Postma only plays 30 games. Well, no, I think he played enough games last year. So, as long as he gets to 70 in the last 2 seasons, he can do that. 2 forwards who are under contract played more than 40 or played the 70 games last 2 seasons. 1 goalie who's under contract or will be a restricted free agent at the expiration of his current contract immediately prior to 2017-18. And if the club elects to make the restricted free agent goalie available, in order to meet this requirement, that goaltender must have received a qualifying offer prior to the submission of the club's protected list.
So they have to leave those open.
If it's an RFA, they have to tender a qualifying offer to him. So that's kind of the guidelines on who you have to let free. So you can't just protect all your great players if they haven't played. So most of your you have to protect some of your rookies, but you also have to leave some guys who've played games exposed.
So are guys in the AHL exempt?
Not if they have deals that are 2-way deals, that are both like AHL and NHL deals.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Which I finally found out what 2-way deal meant. I was listening to a podcast that the guy from General Fantasy.
I talked about it.
It means you make one salary in the AHL and a different salary in the NHL, and you don't have to clear waivers.
Nope, you do. There are waivers for your own 2-way deals. Yes.
I learned that today.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So, essentially, you actually get paid the same amount in the AHL as you do in the NHL. That's the way it works.
Oh,
no, a one-way deal you get paid the same in the AHL and the NHL.
But you lose $900,000.
A 2-way deal you make way less in the AHL.
That's right.
Because it's prorated.
But you also can be on waivers and also might not be on waivers. 2-way deal does not mean waivers. It just means your AHL and NHL salaries are different.
Your salaries are different, yeah.
Which is very, very interesting. So, one of the things that I was wondering, which is how the schedule is going to work with Vegas. So the way it's going to work is, this is Atlantic and Metropolitan divisions. So they have the same 4 games against each team in their division. So that'll be 28 games. Then against the other division, they have 4 teams. They'll play 3 games against each team again, is the way it's always been done. Then against Western Conference, you get... Oh, this is so hard to read. What the fuck? Oh, non-conference, you just play 30 games. So you get 15. So you just play 30 games. You play each team once.
Okay.
So that's for the teams.
And what division are they in?
They'll be in the Pacific. So Atlantic and Metropolitan play 4 games against division opponents. Non-division opponents is 3. Then the non-conference games are still 2.
So is anyone shifting over?
No.
Division? Oh, no. We're good.
Everything's staying the same. Just Vegas is popping into the Pacific.
Okay.
The Central. The way it's going to work is 4 teams are going to play. You're going to play 4 teams 4 times and 1 team 5 times, and then you'll play the other conference 3 times each. I think conference, not division. Yeah, 24 games. So you play 4 teams 3 times, and then
2 against.
Yeah.
East.
And then, yeah. This is so fucking confusing how they wrote this up. Within conference, they play 6 for 24 and 1 for 5. And then, so non-conference, 2 times 16, so 32 games. So, looks like each division you're going to play divisionally 4 games, then your conference 3 times, and then your non-conference twice is the way it's going to work.
Yeah.
So they just cut down the amount of divisional games you play.
Exactly. Because some teams are playing more than others. Sorry if that sounded confusing. I was confused reading it. I still don't really understand what they're trying to write. But it's official, so... I guess, do they get first overall next year then? Is that the way it's going to work?
I read it. No, they're in the draft lottery, and they get the same amount of odds as the third last team.
No, you mean the third team.
Third last team.
I thought it was
last team.
Third last team is the third pick.
Yeah. Like team with the third pick. They have the same odds.
They have the same odds as that team to win the lottery.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So the third
But otherwise, they're slotted third.
Yeah.
So...
They either get 1, 2, or 3.
In the first round, they can be anywhere from 1 to 6. In the other round, in every other round, they're picking third.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, please, I just want to give you advice. Vegas, whatever team you become.
Do not pick Nolan Patrick, please.
Well, maybe that. But I was going to say more of, don't be like the Jets and not have a jersey ready. Have a jersey ready.
What are they going to call them?
Right now, I heard
I have
Black Knights.
Black Knights. Aces.
Aces.
I'm okay with Aces too.
I've heard Vipers.
The Hookers.
Las Vegas Vipers. That has a nice ring. The Hookers. Yep.
The Sinners.
Sin City.
The Sinners.
They won't. They wouldn't let me do the Sinners.
I know.
Vegas Vipers is a nice one.
Vegas
Did you
Vipers?
just come up with that, or you heard that?
He said that.
I said Las Vegas Vipers.
Is that? But have you heard that, or
No,
is that just?
that's
That's
just
a good
speculation.
one. Las Vegas Aces. That could work. There's an Alaska Aces in the ECHL.
And do they have a coach yet? No, don't. But they have essentially an entire season to look at players.
Drafting prospect.
Coaches,
Their
GMs.
thing's going to be big.
They're going to be quite the rough team for a couple years, but they're going to, because what happens is teams have, because the expansion draft happens before the actual draft. Expansion draft, I believe, is the 21st of June next year.
Yeah.
So before that, teams have to submit the list, I think, 3 days before, and they have 3 days to select who they want. And then the draft officially happens. So, they don't have a ton of time in between teams selecting their protected list and picking out, but I feel that they've already gone in and pretty much have an idea for most teams where guys are going to go. And they have guys who are on the bubble who depends on this year kind of thing. So they're going to be a very, very interesting story to follow. Not only just all year this year and going into next summer as well.
Because I know.
I was going to say, they came out today and they said also around the beginning of June, they're going to open a window where the Vegas team can make trades before this expansion draft. So I don't know how that works.
Well, with picks.
If they want to swap picks or...
Now.
So
would they be in a scenario where it's like, okay, we'll give you our second round pick, Winnipeg, and we'll take Toby Enstrom? Is that something they could do?
I don't know. They haven't. It's not official. That's just what they're leaning.
I
towards.
can't see. I mean, if it's a trade, that is
Yeah.
a trade, right?
I don't know if it
I
can.
doubt they
involve
trade a
players or
second
not.
round pick for Toby Enstrom. But hey, it's potential.
Get him
You
off
could
the
do it.
books. I would.
No, so
But
then, you could,
then they could get 2 players from a team like Winnipeg. They could get Enstrom, a defenseman, and they could go out and get Adam Lowry.
Yeah.
There you go. There's 2 players. You could go out and you could try to trade for a goalie right now instead of teams doing that meandering backdoor shit. They could go out and get their goalie and then do that.
right off the hop, yeah.
I can't wait to see what kind of shifty shit happens at the trade deadline this year. Though.
This year, hashtag shady shit.
Yep.
No, wait, we
That's
can't
what
say that.
sports fans should
Last
do.
season, no. SS means shady.
Shit. That's what's
We
going to
can't
happen
use
next year.
SS.
Why? Oh, yeah, no. Can't use SS.
I pointed out my one of my arms here with
Yeah.
the red band.
Nope,
We got to come
definitely
up with a
can't.
new hashtag. Hashtag questionable
Stuff.
stuff. QS.
QS.
Questionable stuff.
Yes. But we got to wrap it up here as
Shady shenanigans.
we'll be back
That's
on
clean.
Tuesday
Still SS
to preview free agency and talk about anything we left out of this podcast.
Oh.
The awards as well.
I want to talk to Cam. The stupidest signing the Flyers ever made in their
Oh,
life.
Radko Gudas.
Can you please
That's
stop?
a great signing. What are you talking
$3
about?
million a year?
It's
Yeah.
like,
The
oh,
worst defenseman in the NHL. $3
Yeah, I
million
don't think he's the
a year.
worst defenseman at all.
You're
Might as
right.
well.
He blocked
You're right.
shots.
He's the worst defenseman in the AHL.
No,
Sorry.
he's a
Fucking
great player.
awful.
I have a tape measure here. This has more use on the ice than Radko Gudas
He's
does.
terrible.
Are you guys okay?
He got $1 million for every suspension he got this year.
Yeah, that's fine. You
Terrible.
need players like that.
Awful. He's horrible.
Minnesota put Thomas
He's also
Vanek on
ugly as
waivers
hell.
and bought out Thomas Vanek, and so did Toronto with Jared Cowan. So 2 guys that could be in play on free agent day.
Yeah.
Why would you not tender an offer out to Thomas Vanek if you need a right winger and
And
say,
he might be affordable.
and be very affordable? Maybe that $1 million. If he sucks, whatever. He's in the AHL. He'll sell tickets. It's the same thing that Montreal did with Alex Salmon, and with Jared Cowan, someone's going to take a flyer on him at the defensive position. So he could be good, just not worth the $4 million price tag.
I'm going to
He was getting
say
paid.
direct comparables for contract-wise to Radko Gudas, and tell me you wouldn't take him before every one of these guys. Mark Fane, 4 years at 3.62.
I'd take him.
Ladislav Smith, 4 years at 3.5.
I'd definitely take him.
You're
over
just taking
Gudas.
him because you don't like Gudas.
No.
Okay.
Those guys have actually done things.
What have they done? What has Mark Fane and Laddie Schmid
I've
done?
seen him
that-
score a goal.
I've seen Gudas score 2 goals.
I've never seen him score a goal.
He scored 2
That's
in a
a myth.
game.
Okay, continue. These
I
guys
don't-
are
I don't know
comparable to Radko Gudas in the way they play. They're
Exactly.
Mark Fane's at least a serviceable
Gabe,
defenseman.
His contract hit ranks him at 100 on NHL, on NHL defenseman earnings on his contract. He's a number 4 defenseman. He's getting paid number $4.
How is he number 4?
Gudas
though?
is 4? I thought he was 7.
I thought he'd be a bottom.
He's
2
on the top
guy.
pairing. He's a shutdown player.
Who would you rather have? I know Dan's answer. Mark Stewart or Radko Gudas?
Radko Gudas in minutes. He's younger and
I think
way
that's-
more serviceable.
I think that's a
He
tough
actually plays
conversation to have.
games.
True. He doesn't get hurt. But
No, because he hurts other people.
Yeah, that's great. That means he doesn't.
he's a prototypical Philadelphia guy, but they'll be regretting this signing.
Every
in a
time
few
I
years.
watch him in the
Won't.
playoffs, he was awful.
Hey, here's a guy.
He's a shutdown guy. He did great. He did pretty good.
He didn't
for-
shut down
okay.
anybody.
He's okay. Like,
He's terrible.
Okay.
I
well,
wouldn't
I think
go
it's
as far
a
as
great
saying he's
signing.
terrible. I think that they could have probably could have signed him for about 2.5. So $1 million savings isn't that big of a deal.
If he
but-
wants 3, give Trouba $20 million.
no, no,
If,
no.
Also,
if
I
he's
just
going to
wanna-
get 3,
I want to throw out also right-handed defenseman, so he gets the
Oh, so that's why-
$500,000 bonus. We
that's why
talked
he
about
gets
it.
it.
Yeah.
So take out
It's a thing.
500,000, 2.8.
Fair enough. So
still 2.4 too much.
we'll argue more about potential contracts and contracts that happen and any trades that happen between now and Tuesday, and then we'll be back Tuesday to give you guys a full rundown on our free agent preview for what's going to happen, who's going to go where, talk about the awards, talk a little bit more about Vegas, maybe, and have some fun for our episode 99. Then episode 100 will be after free agency, so
So is next week's episode the great one?
the great one.
I hope it's a great one, and by that I mean disappointing, and you can't fight them.
Follow us on Twitter at Last Man In Podcast, at Last Man In PC, gmail.com. Yep.
All that
And
fun
find
stuff.
us out on anywhere you get your podcasts.
Greg, we want to finish it off again. What do the Leafs have this year?
Austin Matthews.